much love, and you bring me so much joy. I can't understand why you do it, but you do. Yeah, I know you give me so much love, so much.
Okay, so we're 6 weeks into marriage.
6 weeks.
6 weeks fresh.
Fresh, really
Newbies.
New. I mean, you obviously come from a two-parent home and marriage, and you've seen marriage, and
I've seen it work.
Yeah, you seen beautiful marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I, of course, did not. So everything was new to me. Everything. Being
Like
a
what?
wife and just even the whole idea of what is this whole submission thing and what am I supposed to do as a wife? You know, okay, we're married and now we can like legally under the eyes of God have sex, but what else is
Does it
there?
come
What
to?
What does this look like? I'm
Yeah.
happy, I'm pleased, you know, I'm expecting, excited about, you know, what the future looks like and house hunting and just all of that good stuff.
So we were just fresh in that process of becoming one. Like, what does that look like? Like, I think sometimes that process can be portrayed as glamorous, but that's not necessarily a glamorous process.
Oh
like
my
that's
gosh.
that's trial and error. That's headbutts, arguments, conflicts, like all of that. And I think we experienced all that even in the 6 weeks we had been married. I mean, we clashed, quite a bit. Not like, Ike and Tina clash, but like, like just
I am not
just my world, my way, your world, your way.
Absolutely. I mean, you have
colliding.
these two people coming together with our own ideas about what life is supposed to look like, our own satisfaction, our own need to be pleased, what we desire from the other, and not so much as what we want to give or want to bring to the other, but what we want from the other. So you have all of that, like you said, navigating through, our own background and
Because anytime we got into it, I automatically thought you were going to divorce me. Like, my mind went toward it's over. There's no coming back. She hates me. It's done. And I had to like evaluate, like, why am I thinking this way? And really, I attributed a lot of it to the fact that I didn't see a lot of conflict in my house growing up. Like, I didn't see it. Like, my parents didn't argue in front of us. And so, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing. It just was like, how can you argue, say things that you say, not you, but say things that are said and still like
come back. Be okay.
Like, cause it's like cutoff season. It's like, don't talk to me ever again in your life. Like, you know what I'm saying? But you can't be like
you
that.
don't function that way.
In marriage. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
a lot of grace.
A lot of grace, a lot of forgiveness, a lot of saying I'm wrong, a lot of apologizing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily sweeping things under the rug, but a lot of like honest conversation, which was something neither one of us, I think, were used to.
No, yeah, because you weren't used to the honest conversation.
I wasn't used to a healthy relationship, period.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying even like patterns and habits that you've seen growing up, right? With just being, 18, 20 years old, fresh out the house, technically still in the house, your parents' house. And so honest conversations, not those moments of conflict, not seeing that done at all.
Yeah.
Whether healthy or unhealthy, not seeing that. And then me, on the other hand, seeing the conflicts, but they were just done super wrong. You get it. I'm coming from you, your mama, and your cousin too, type of conflicts. Anybody could get it. And so
hood conflicts. Go ahead.
Whatever you want to call it. I don't think they're just hood conflicts.
But you know what I mean? Like,
they were unhealthy.
Unhealthy.
So yeah, it was like no holds bar. You come into marriage with all of that and then have to try to navigate, well, what does our marriage?
Yeah, how do you do that together? Like, Now we have to figure out how to live together and do conflict together and do life together and do love and be together still in the midst of and after conflict.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I think derails a lot of marriages early. It's that recovery. And I tell married couples that all the time, like anything that is good for your body, anything that's good for your body is going to be, oftentimes it's going to be hard on your body. And because it's hard on your body, you have to have time called recovery time. You can ask any athlete or anybody who works out, like working out, you're putting stress on muscles because you want to grow them. You're putting weight on them and stress on them, and you're literally breaking them down, and they build back stronger, but they build back stronger in time called recovery time. And so we try to teach couples that you guys are there's going to be stress put on you. There's going to be stress put on the muscles of your marriage. But how you handle that recovery time will determine how strong you guys come back. And so I'll be telling cats like, man, recover. Like marriage is ultimately about conflict and recovery. Because I think after recovery, you can come back stronger.
And then I also say like recovery, when you used the analogy of an athlete, right?
Yeah.
That's building, and then he's tearing down the muscles so that they can be built up. But then during that recovery time, he's intentional about recovery. So he's not just simply stop, okay, I'm done working out, and then I stop. I'm gonna take a day off. But there are things that you do during the recovery.
Process,
so you have to stretch. They ice their bodies. They get massages, and they do all of these different things to actually make sure that they are not just recovering, but they're recovering properly.
Right.
And so we also have a responsibility in that recovery process. So it's not just, we're conflicting, we have this conflict, and some can get out of hand, and
and then we don't discuss it.
And then we're not
talk
coming
about
back.
it. Just the next morning, it's like it never happened.
Or get over it or whatever.
That I've learned that stuff is not good.
Yeah.
Because it's still there.
Yeah.
And so you could be 6 months down the line, still holding resentment toward what happened 6 months ago and not even know it.
Yeah.
Because it's not even dealt with. And so you could be arguing about what color the carpet could be, but it's really not, you're not arguing about what color the carpet is. You're arguing about that argument or that conflict that wasn't resolved 6 months before. And that stuff is just coming out in this little, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I had to learn personally, like me personally, I had to learn that talking about the issue at hand and dealing with the conflict at hand wouldn't lead to something worse per se. You know what I'm saying? And even if it did, it would ultimately lead to something better, which would be resolve, which would be love, which would be compromise, which would be a greater understanding of even you and an understanding of myself. Right. And so I had to learn how to not look at conflict as something to avoid.
Right.
Still to this day. Okay. Like I have to program myself like her happiness does not diminish because we go through, you know what I mean? Like our marriage doesn't exist for me to ultimately make you happy or for you to ultimately make me happy. And I'm still learning that. You know what I'm saying? Because I just naturally, like, I want to make you happy. Like, I want to make sure you have what you need, have what you want. Like,
right. And so obviously, so in the beginning, right. everything is pretty much happy and wonderful, right, and you know, everything is great in the beginning, that initial, you know, what most people call that honeymoon phase. You know, it's like, oh, all is well, and then that's when the real stuff hits you. But I think for us, like we had to really navigate not only through just normal conflict, this normal what normally happens when two become one, so to speak, and two ideas
like
and two viewpoints and two ideologies.
You know what I'm saying? Pick your drawers up.
Yeah.
Jesse, can you bring me some toilet tissue? Why ain't you get the tissue before you went to the bathroom? Oh no, can you bring me some tissue? And making me sit there till my legs fall asleep.
I didn't make you.
Or I gotta get up and look and like, shuffle, do that shuffle.
God.
Do that shuffle with your pants in your ankle, around your ankles to go get some.
Stop
You
it.
know what I'm saying? Like that's a normal people conflict, but we had a
Pick
conflict.
up your side.
Yeah, like what we gonna eat? What you mean we're gonna eat? What you gonna cook? What you mean I'm gonna cook? You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of stuff. But we had like an issue that was getting ready to hit us that nobody saw coming.
Yeah. So,
Hit our family. Hit our life.
Our entire family.
Yeah.
It affected everything concerning
everybody.
Concerning us. So, so we got married. 6 weeks later, I think Saturday or Sunday, I went to your mom and I was like, I'm spotting. And she's like, you're spotting? I was like, yeah. And I see this look of like concern on her face. And she was like, okay, let's call the doctor. Let's go. And I remember calling her.
I didn't know none of this. Like, I didn't know you talked to her about it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
We were in the house that night. It was like Sunday night, I think.
I promise I didn't know that.
And I was like, I'm
Like,
spotting.
I didn't, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I could tell her face just kind of like, I was like, so I didn't know, anything about being pregnant, whatever. So she's like, call the doctor. So I called the doctor. We had a midwife and, she says, okay, how bad is it? Is it a lot? I'm like, no. She's like, okay, come in tomorrow. So then we go in and they want to do an ultrasound. They do an ultrasound where they were listening for the baby's heart. And they was like, okay, well, let's do an ultrasound to make sure everything's okay. So when they did the ultrasound, then there was nothing. So she was like, I don't hear anything. I'm not seeing any movement, anything like that. I was about 3 months pregnant at the time.
Wow.
And I was just kind of like, I don't know, I was just stuck in that. I was just stuck. And so she was like, go home and if this happens, this should happen, this should happen. And if not, then we'll schedule you for a DNC or whatever. So then my body is literally going through the process of miscarrying a baby.
3 months.
Yeah, and I could just I remember like having shivers at night and crying. It was like,
I think I was so young and I think it was like, I don't know. I remember that, like shivering and you going to the bathroom.
Yeah, it was just so anyway. So that was like Sunday. Then that was like over a course of like 3 or 4 days where my body was just like seemed like it was like went into shock. And then Friday comes.
Friday. The worst Friday. Literally the worst day of our lives. Literally. Like I can't think of a worse day than that. It topped even the miscarriage as far as, the impact that it had. And so Friday, we're staying at our parents' house still, just kind of doing our thing, living our life and being married. And so she had just had a miscarriage. So we kind of, cuddling up and loving each other and all that. And so my parents go out of town.
Yeah, I remember that morning they were going to go out of town, and so normally we had 6 a.m. prayer on Fridays.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well I'm gonna stay back because I would normally go. You had a job interview that day.
I had a job interview at a bank.
At a bank.
Downtown. That I got up and put on a sweater. It was a Fat Albert FUBU sweater.
Was it?
Man, yeah. and I thought that joint was fire. It was like a turtleneck sweater.
I'm sure you were handsome.
Yeah, I looked super trash. And I had on some Steve Madden bowling looking shoes and some oversized jeans. And I was going in there to go get that job.
Because I try to keep telling you, like, your clothes are too big. You need to buy smaller clothes.
I was going to get that job in that sweater that day.
So I didn't go to prayer because I wanted to say, goodbye to your mom and dad because we knew they were going out of town. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to go to 6 a.m. prayer. I'm going to pray on the way to the church. And I was like, I just wanted tell them goodbye, whatever. So I remember like leaving out of our room, your room, and your parents' house, walking into their room. And your dad always still kind of made me nervous. And so I was kind of like, and he was like, and I was like, I just wanted to say bye, love you guys. And your mom was like, come on. And your dad was like, Armour, Jessica tell us goodbye. Jessica told me goodbye, something like that.
Yeah, something
Trying to be funny, yeah. Like, when you gonna tell me goodbye?
Right.
Yeah. And then after that, I drove to the church.
Yep.
Went to work like normal.
Yep.
And then I think you came to the church first, and then you went to the interview.
Yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I swagged out, went to my interview, and then while I was sitting there, I did the initial test. They wanted to test to see how quick you were in typing up stuff, but they didn't know I was super quick, and I never once looked at the screen. I was just like, tack, tack, tack.
You were pecking?
Pecking. Getting it. I was passing the test, and so I was in line for a second interview. Before the second interview, my cell phone rings. So I'm like, who is this? I'm at this interview, about to kill this job, looking swaggerific. And I answered the phone, and somebody called me and was like, hey, where were your parents going out of town? I was like, oh, they were going to the Bahamas. They were like, oh, okay, never mind. I was like, what? What's going on? It was like, oh, I just saw that a plane went down, but the plane went down and the plane was headed to Florida. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they were going to the Bahamas. So I'm like, my heart's beating fast. I'm like, why would they call me? I'm about to go on this job interview. I'm swaggerific. I'm about to go in and get this.
One more time.
I'm about to go get this bank job for my family, kid. Like, I'm about to go get this bank job, about to make this bank money in this FUBU sweater. I'm about to do it. And so I'm like, let me call the guy, because they were on a guy. My parents were building a building, and the builder had a plane, and he would just let people use it sometimes. And so they were on his plane. I'm like, so let me call this guy. So I asked my dad's secretary for the dude's number, and I called dude. I was like, hey, is everything all right? He was like, yeah, man, everything's good. I was like, you sure? Because somebody just called me and said a plane went down somewhere. He's like, no, they're good. I just saw him take off about 10 minutes ago. I was like, okay, cool. So I hang up. I'm like, whew, thank you, Jesus. Let me go in this interview. And so I get up to go back because they call my name.
Yeah.
I get up to go back. My phone rings again. I'm like, don't answer it. But something told me to answer. So I look, and it's the guy. So I answer it. And 2 words. He said 2 words. Shatter my entire life. 3 words. Yeah. I answer the phone. I'm like, hello? I hear it's like this eerie pause. And then he just says 3 words. He says, it was them. That's all he said. And so the lady's standing at the door waiting to come tell me I got the job. I run out of the bank, get into my car, speed over to the church. My father's secretary calls me hysterical. She's hysterical. I'm like, hey, what's going on? She's like, pull over, Armour, pull over, don't drive it. And she just kept telling me, pull over, don't try to drive. And I'm crying, I'm hysterical. She's hysterical. She's trying to protect me, telling me to pull over, don't drive like this. I'm like, I'm not pulling over. Like, I'm coming there. I'm on my way to the church. I gotta get there. And so I get there. I think y'all already know.
Yeah, we knew. So the whole time we were there, we were like praying. And I just remember I just kept going around
God,
in the
don't let it be
sanctuary,
so.
like praying. Like, no,
God,
this can't be.
please.
Like, this isn't it. Like, no, it's not them. Lord, come on, just
So-
let it. Maybe it's not bad. Like,
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically the plane that they were in crashed, killed everybody in the plane. And our life, our family, their church, and our marriage kind of just took like this major hit. It was hard. It was hard, man. I can remember just bleeding and like lashing out at you, or going hard on you and stuff, just taking that anger and grief out on you in like the most irresponsible and immature ways, just saying stuff and you know, just bleeding.